And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. I'm your host, Jessi Holley. And as always, I have a treat for you guys today on this next interview. So on with us today, we have Anna VanAgtmael. And you know that I had to sound it out. She helped me with the phonetics on it and everything. This is someone who I was super interested when she reached out to me. We have a Michigander on the line, okay? You guys know how I love my hometown, my home state. Even though we around the world, we all over the country, we all over the place. I always love to have somebody from Michigan on. And when I do my little hand thing and I'm like, yeah, from right here, you guys, you know what? I know half of y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but she does. So I'm excited for that part. And so we have Anna with us today from Wandering Roots. Anna, welcome, and thank you for coming on with us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So while I read into your bio and took a look at Wandering Roots, I became super interested in your story, looking at your journey and the brief overview that I got, and wanted to dive into more information about Wandering Roots. Like, explain to the audience what it is and give them some insight into why I'm so excited about your company and brand.
Sure. It's a retreat brand. Wandering Roots is a retreat brand. We host adventure retreats all over the world. And I also help other entrepreneurs plan and host their own profitable retreats.
Awesome, awesome. So I know you guys watched a few episodes back. You can see exactly why this is right up my alley and why I'm so excited to get Anna on with us today. So I saw that you were a 13-year career molecular diagnostics person. So how did you end up walking away from a successful career in molecular diagnostics? That sounds like super smart, very posh, and like I am a molecular
Yeah.
diagnostician. So, how did you end up with that transition?
So a couple things happened. I was given an opportunity to be an entrepreneur with no financial risk. So the last company that hired me was actually based out of Canada, so our neighbor to the north, not a super far commute. And all the execs were there, and they needed a lab in the States, and I hired all the staff, built the lab, bought the equipment, managed the inventory, and it just honestly, I was like, it planted a seed. I was like, if I could do this when I had probably no business, I had no idea what I was doing when they gave me the opportunity. I'm like, I'm sure I could figure it out on, in different areas. So, and then at the same time, I had neck surgery, and I had to be in a hard collar for 4 months. I couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. And I was 28 at the time. This was 2012, so it was quite a while ago. But it's the first time I paused ever in my life. I was just hustling hard all through my 20s. And I realized that I had attained more success than I ever thought possible for myself, but I was wildly unhappy. I was like bored to tears. There's a lot of shame around just being bored and not being super grateful. And, but yeah, I kind of had this merge of, if I can figure this out and with something that I'm not passionate about, I feel I could have a lot more success if I did something I was passionate about. And I found yoga kind of in the process, because I was really, really, the thing they don't tell you about having major surgery is like the surgery is the easy part, the rehab is the shit. It's like the terrible part of like, you just have to like learn to live with this chronic pain. And I didn't want to be a pain clinic patient. So anyways, I thought, I had been traveling a lot. I thought I could take my love of yoga and just host retreats. I could combine the two things and create a space for people to be seen and accepted, because when I did yoga teacher training, that was like the first time in my adult life that I'd been in a room full of strangers that were like, you have shit, I have shit too. And just like, I see you, girl, like it was just so supportive. So yeah.
That's really cool. That is really cool. So, in your recovery, what was that like for you mentally as you were physically rebuilding your body, your stamina, getting into yoga. What did that do for your mind as well?
Ugh, my mind was terrible in the beginning. I was really depressed, and I like in that depressed, like just kind of hopeless. It was so humbling to be like handicapped in that way, or to just have that like when I went to PT after, all of the people in the waiting room were like in their 80s, and everybody kept being like, "You're so young to have a surgery this major." And I was like, I was just wanting them to stop saying that. I was just so over it, you know. But my physical therapist was the same age, and she had a lymph node. She got viral meningitis in college, and she had one of her lymph nodes exploded. And she was like, I almost had a similar thing, like it was neck related as a scar. I was in the hospital for a long time. And she's like, I was a little bit younger than you, and I just want you to know it's going to get better. And I just like, I, even though it was like the most humbling and that like one of the hardest things that's happened to me, there were so many like incredible lessons and so many like vulnerable like connections and moments like and also like I really didn't take that good of care of myself. I like just took for granted my health. I just thought I had like, you know, a lot of time to just do whatever I wanted. And that's something that happened to old people, which is something, you know, I just never like thought about my own mortality or taking care of my body. And I just had this huge awakening on a body and a mind and like a spiritual level. And so with so much space now, and even just a few years after, I'm so grateful for it. It's like one of the like best things that's ever happened to me, truly. Um, it not only like made me change my life and take better care of myself, but I would have never started Wandering Roots if I hadn't had a big wake up call or all that time to like sit with my thoughts about, if I have one life and that's it, shouldn't I be jazzed about it? Shouldn't it feel better than this? Shouldn't I be excited? You know, and yeah, it. And I also I had this moment like because I couldn't drive and I couldn't go do anything. My I was newly out of college, like I had moved back. I just went to East Lansing, so but like all of my friends just dispersed throughout the U.S. and I didn't have that many in person relationships that I got to see a lot, even though we would keep in touch on phone and stuff. And so I was like, if I'm going to live here for a while, I have to like find a community of support. And so now I like most of my closest friends all just came up to be in that, you know, part of my life. I've had them for 10 years now. So,
That is really good. That is really
mhm.
awesome. I like how you made space for your new friends and coming to that realization that you know when you're at one of those transition points in life where everyone is dispersing, audience to you guys that remember that I told you sometimes when everybody can't go, it's not always a bunch of drama. It's not always like a
No.
bang out thing with a bunch of fighting and arguing. Sometimes it's literally just that there is a transition point in life, usually around graduations. Every time
Yes.
it's time for graduation or the end of the semester, like everyone like dissipates and disperses. Everyone goes back to where they came from onto their next phase in life. And sometimes there is just a natural, like, moving apart of the people that you've spent time with day in and day out. And Anna, the way that you kind of, I mean, we have no choice but to embrace it when we're at one of those crossroads moments in life where everyone isn't going to like transition together and physically be in the same spaces anymore.
Yeah.
But I talk to me about some of the coping strategies that you used as you were moving away from, and as other friends were moving away from you as well, without having like you know any type of conflict. This was just a transition point in life. What were some of the things that you did uh, in terms of spending time with yourself? And what were some of the things that you thought to yourself as that transition was happening? And you were building that new circle of friends in the state where you were in, the physical state that you were in.
Yeah. So somebody said right around that time that relationships are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And like, you know, you get those little messages like right when you need them. And like you said, there was no drama. There were no hard feelings. There was no nothing. It was just like physical space made some of them sort of just kind of, you know, fall into the background. Not always, but mostly. And then because I had that moment of clarity of like, I have to make a career change, but I had no idea what wanted to do. I was like just completely at a loss. I just started doing things that terrified me, like things that intrigued me, but I, you know, got in my own way with my excuses of like, I don't have time or I'll be a beginner, which is stupid because everybody's a beginner once, right? And so yeah, I started going to yoga. I started I can't even remember what all I did at the time, but anything that my gut would be like, no, I can't do that. I'd be like, but yet it keeps coming up and it's like in your mind. So go try it. Just if you hate it, you can quit. No one's like making you like commit to 6 years of trying this thing might make you miserable. And then in that practice of like pushing myself out of my comfort zone continuously, I naturally met other people.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't even like a lot of the ladies that come on retreats say it's always so hard to make friends when you're older. And I like agree and disagree. I think that you don't get out as much, maybe you're home more with your responsibilities and your roles and things. But if it is important to you and you're making time to leave your house, it's not that hard. People connect
Mhm.
over mutual things. Um, People really connect over vulnerabilities, you know, and so yeah, I think there's always that kind of like first day of school, like will somebody like me, you know, whatever. But if they don't engage, they don't engage. Just go talk to somebody else, you know. It's not a big deal.
Right, right. That's really awesome. And that's actually a really good point that you brought up there about just trying new things. I
Yeah.
always tell my listeners, like, okay, if you're afraid but you want to do something, go ahead and do it scared. And that goes for anything, like anything new that you're trying. It could be something as simple as, if you're introverted and like she
Mm.
said, the same way that you're not gonna find your man in the house or you're not gonna find your girlfriend in the house, like you're not going to find new social connections and new people to connect with, new people to pour into, new people who are supposed to pour into you if you're just inside all the time. Now, granted, sure, we can all connect via the internet, via socials, all of the webinars and all those types of things. But there is something to be said about getting in the room, physically in the room. So sometimes you do have to be up for leaving the house, go outside, even if you're alone, even if you're traveling by yourself. Go do that thing. Take yourself to dinner. Go to that show. Go sit at the bar. You don't have to have a drink while you're there for
No.
those of you who are not, having alcoholic beverages, but sometimes just sitting at the bar and having conversations with people or sitting at a restaurant where you will be exposed to other people who would like to be social and have that invitation available. Join a social club, a networking group. We don't do any free promos here, but for the sake of you guys, because I love you all, besties, use what is it, meetup. Like
Mm.
you can Google meetups in your area and just go ahead and put your information in. They will literally send you emails for people that are doing like-minded things. And as I'm talking about like-minded things, back to the retreats that you host. So you've hosted over 20 adventure retreats all over the
Mhm.
world. So what is it about the adventure that creates a transformative experience for all of your participants?
So I like to say that the itinerary is just a smattering of ideas, that it's like a menu. You can pick and choose from the ones that interest you. But I want people to like tap into what they actually want moment to moment. A lot of us don't think about that enough. And I do encourage them to like push themselves out of their comfort zone. I think, again, that's where the magic happens. But I encourage everybody to choose their own adventure. If they would rather take a nap than do yoga, perfect. I've never had anybody sleep through lunch or dinner. Our chef is really incredible, but we always offer to keep it hot or something like that if they want to do that. But I also think like everybody shows up nervous again because everybody just wants to be loved and accepted for who they are and not who they're trying to be. But always after that first dinner, all of that kind of like fades off and it starts getting louder and people are all chatting and connecting really quickly. I think it's because sometimes, like, first of all, you get to truly unplug in this space. Like, your roles and responsibilities are miles away from you, like, even maybe another country away, right? So it's just, you don't have to like unload the dishwasher or throw in another load of laundry or any like, it's kind of clearing your head from all of that crap. And then also, a lot of people that you have relationships with and see on a day to day see you kind of in this box of like how they see themselves, right? Like, and so it's sometimes, almost always, a lot easier to just open up to a stranger and connect. They don't have any expectations of you. They don't have you in a box, per se. And yeah, I think we forget that it is sometimes really, really easy to meet new people because of that. None of those expectations are there. So, um,
Yeah. That and that's the key word right there is the expectations. Because that
yeah.
is funny how, if we're having an icebreaker or there's some type of round table or a little fun time around like a campfire or something, if there's like a prompting question or questions to make you share, or like even some of the little card games and things that are out, like we'll have all of these meaningful conversations. We'll open up, be vulnerable with people that it's like, oh yeah, I just met you about 45 minutes ago, versus these same conversations that we could have with people that we are actually close with or that we're close to, but because of that fear of judgment, or because we're worried about, well, will this shift the other person's perspective of me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we hold some of the most vulnerable parts of ourselves, or but quite possibly even some of the best parts of ourselves, we keep them to ourselves and turn those things inward, as opposed to expressing ourselves with these people that do have expectations of us. They do
Mm-hmm.
already have like a an opinion of us based upon them knowing us, getting to know possibly different versions of us throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't even really think about how our own perceptions of the expectations that could possibly be self-imposed,
Yeah,
um,
totally.
that we're thinking, well, what are they thinking about me? But then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden we're able to just let go, express ourselves, and let go when we're in a group of strangers, because all of a sudden, without those expectations, that fear of judgment, it's like Thanos snapped, and it's just not there most of the
Totally.
time. And it just takes that one person to share first and
Mm-hmm.
answer like the prompt or the question or something like that. And it's like, once the lid is off, then oh, everyone's like, oh, this is a safe space. And that makes me think that, people who participate in your retreats, like that is a great trait to bring back, or to be reminded of, to bring back to our respective friend groups or social circles when we get back. That same feeling of safety, of being vulnerable, of not worrying about expectations or the preconceived judgment that you think someone would have from you sharing. Go ahead and let all those things go. Do it scared, and communicate the same way with those around you and those in your immediate circle. And dare I say, you guys know that I will take it that far. If you can't, quote unquote can't, even though we don't like the word can't around here, but if you can't be that type of vulnerable with your social circle or your friends, it's time for some evaluation. It's time for some self-assessment. One, are you doing it to yourself? Are these your thoughts? Who told you that? Are these your thoughts? Or did your friends, or in this case, so-called friends, did they actually say that to you? And or if they haven't, why do you feel that you can't be vulnerable with them? And if the answer is because that group of people really isn't safe for you, and or there are unhealthy expectations, or there are some preconceived judgments that you know for a fact that they have told you or have indicated that there are judgments that may be harsh or negative criticisms that are not for your self-improvement, it's time to reevaluate that circle of people that you surround yourself with and really take a look at whether or not that dynamic that you are allowing yourself to be in, whether or not it is an unhealthy space for you, or if it's a place where you started with friends and you've noticed that it may have become an unhealthy environment. Please do evaluate that. And let me know if you guys have questions about that in the comments for sure. Like, I'm always here to help. If you don't want to air it out in front of everybody with the comments, you guys already know. Shoot me a DM at Everybody Can't Go, the number 2 on Instagram, or shoot me a DM on TikTok, send me a message, and we can go ahead. We can talk about it. We can hash it out. Of course, anonymous, because I'm all about protecting you guys. I love you all. So, as we're moving along, when so a lot of entrepreneurs, they do dream of having a retreat, having these type of in-person events where they are bringing people together, getting people in the same physical room, getting folks off of virtual platforms and coming from all over the place, any corner, many corners, and getting folks all together. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people are making when they're trying to plan a retreat or plan a conference or a meetup or anything like that when they're trying to bring their community together in person?
Two things. I think the two main things people mistake is they try to do it too big too fast. So if a lot of times you can host a retreat on literally anything. I've helped so many different people from different walks of life create retreats for clients that are very, very diverse. So I mean, there's thousands out there. But I think that everybody is the same in that if you are normally a retreat is like your top tier offer for clients that you've had for a little while, or you want to give them more, or you don't have a package or a service that can capture all of the things you want to share with them. So instead of just like dipping their toe in and maybe doing, and I'm guilty of this too, I don't like doing anything small, but instead of like dipping their toe in and doing like, say for me up north, Michigan, northern Michigan's beautiful, like a Thursday to a Sunday, and like let's go to Thailand for 10 days. It's just like there's a way to sort of test the waters and not put so much investment, time, energy, money, and just make sure that like your audience is ready and warm for that. And then the other thing is a lot of people like do get in their head too much about, God, what if people don't come? What if I can't fill this and then I'll lose money and whatever. And so they throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. And then their guests are exhausted because they put so much shit in their itinerary, like just too much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People need like, I'm an introvert doing an extrovert's job, so take it from me. People need downtime. Like I say 2 to 3 hours be like right before dinner in the afternoon. Just try to keep that slot open so people can go just have quiet, even just go to, or call their family or whatever. You don't want them to be on the go from 7, 8 a.m. to 7, 8 p.m. And
Mm-hmm.
you personally don't want to work 12-hour days, day after day after day. I do feel like retreats can feel like marathons, not sprints, because you're staying the night with these people, but you got to protect your energy too. So
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the two things. Don't jam pack your itinerary, and just try something small before you go all in.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I love that you talked about that recharge time. I always talk about it in terms of like recharging your battery. And that is important really for everybody involved, for any of
Yeah.
your, the person putting the retreat on, your crew, any other folks that you have as a part of the cast, as well as for the participants.
Yeah.
As I started to help Melissa to put together her retreat. I'm like, hey, you guys know that I'm just like, go, 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 go. And the flight attendant, just flight attendants. And I'm all about, the social aspect. Let's get some learning in. But I'm like, we have to be very cognizant of, hey, people do need time to rest. Believe it or
Mhm.
not, sometimes I get tired of talking and people, and sometimes I actually get tired of listening. But it's up to me to make sure that, around here we talk about boundaries a lot.
Yeah.
And that being a part of your self-care on a daily basis, that's part of
Mhm.
being that luxury item, is making sure that you have that rest time built in. And with that being something that we're supposed to do it every day, we're supposed to make sure that we have that self-care, that we're recharging our battery, that we are making sure to take care of ourselves so we're not pouring from an empty cup. It's exactly the same thing when you are participating in retreats, if you're going on work trips, sometimes even if you're going on a trip with friends for your leisure. In
Mhm.
all of these different ways that you're traveling or participating in any type of days long event, it's very easy to forget to have that time for your rest, not just so that you can go to sleep or kick your feet up or whatever, but literally just that portion of the day where you can get your mental rest, where you can get some quiet. It does take a lot out of you, both mentally, physically, and emotionally, to be on and on all day.
Mhm.
Like you said, Anna, that 12-hour day, like, okay, that's all well and good, but ain't nobody trying to go on a retreat for 3, 4, possibly
No.
even 7 to 10 days, and it's 12 hours a day every day. Part
Mhm.
of going to a retreat is making sure that you get
Yeah.
that you're able to center yourself, you are able to relax. So I would say for all parties involved, whether you're putting that retreat on or whether you are a participant, and do take note of what that itinerary looks like before you go. And note of those places where you might want to socialize a bit with some of the other retreat goers, but make sure that you're prioritizing that self-care and that downtime if and when you need it. If you could go a little longer, great for you, great for us, because that's me. But when it's time to recharge and get some of that rest, make sure that you are prioritizing that so that when you do show up, you're able to show up at 100% or 120, and also to be sure that you're able to absorb everything that you came there for at your peak state, instead of just cramming everything in there and just kind of like discombobulating yourself with all of the things because you're trying to do every single little thing that's available. Make sure that rest is put in there. So that was really good. I love that you brought that up, Anna. Now, when you're talking about pursuing a life that you love, you talked about that a bit at the beginning, where you made your career transition from being a molecular diagnostics into starting Wandering Roots. So with that importance, what's your advice that you have for someone who, like, they feel like they're stuck in a life that is no longer in alignment with what they actually love or their purpose?
For me, the only thing that got me to think bigger or to find things that I was passionate about was to try new things and spend time with like-minded people. Don't I always say if you're going to make a huge change, maybe tell your family last because they have the best intentions, but they're going to say all of the fears that you've already been like internalizing out loud.
Hmm.
And honestly, I from the exterior looked like I was having a midlife crisis when I was, so just talk to people that have gone through it before. That sparks more like fruitful conversations that could maybe get you to think in a different way or plant something in your mind that you'd never thought of before. That's where I would start. It's I also like one of the things that I always say is like just keep going. The only difference between people that are living a life they love and people that aren't is they tried. And they just kept going, and they kept showing up, even when it got difficult, even when it got messy and ugly. That's really the only difference.
That's really good advice. That is really good advice. And you dropped a couple of nuggets in there that were really good. I know that, when we decide that, like, oh, I'm going to embark on this new journey, of course, the first thing that you want to do once you're like, okay, I've thought this through, I have a game plan, you always want to call your BFF. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to call my mom, I'm going to call my sister, my brother, my dad, whomever. You're going to call someone from your family. And like you said, it's sometimes that conversation is not met with the same enthusiasm
Yeah.
from people that have literally known you your entire life, and they've watched you go through different phases, try new things. And like you said, just because you try something new, that doesn't mean that you have to commit to something that you absolutely hate for the next 6 years, 10 years, or for life, just because you decided to try it. And it's like, some things you may try it and you might be good at it, but you find that it's like, okay, I'm good at this, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want to do this. And I find that coming from the outside in, as long as you're good at something, it's like, oh, no, 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 you should do that. You should do that, and you should monetize it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's great. And yes, we all need funds to live and do all the things like, church finger. Hi, sorry, excuse me. Does anybody care about the way I feel?
Yeah.
And
Totally.
the truth is, more than likely, probably not. And even when you point it out to people that, okay, I'm good at doing that thing, but I don't like it. I'm not happy. I'm absolutely miserable. It's still kind of like, well, but this is good for you. And it's like, no, I literally told you this is not good for me. And it's like, oh, well, we'll just focus on the areas where it is good for you. And it's like, oh, okay, my pockets. But then no one looks at, let's do all of the math. If I'm making great funds from doing something that I dislike or absolutely loathe, I'm paying in another area of my life with how much
100%.
it's draining to me. And then
Yeah.
also,
Sorry.
oh, you go ahead.
I felt like I was dying like a slow, painful death, even though I was making tons of money and had tons of freedom and whatever. I still felt like I was just dying a slow, painful death. And also to add to that, like, because you said you need funds for living, you're not wrong. I side hustled Wandering Roots for 2 years before I quit my job. I was just like watching the numbers, pitching money away into my savings in case it didn't work out or I changed my mind. And like, you don't have to, it isn't like it has to be this clean cut of today I'm this and tomorrow I'm not. You can overlap these things.
Yeah, you definitely can, and make a exit strategy from that 9 to 5 of sorts, so that it's a bit of a smoother transition. I tell you guys that all the time. Everybody doesn't have to be gung ho about being an entrepreneur, and it's like, yes, I have this plan and I'm gonna quit today. Wait, time out. Nope. Everybody is not just gonna stop and quit today. While that may be a path for some of you to take, or while that may be an option if there's like a layoff involved, or any budget cuts or something like that, it's not always a necessity for you to come up with your business plan, your business idea, and say, you know what, I'm going to quit my 9 to 5 today and I'm an entrepreneur first thing in the morning. Doing that overlap and transitioning, it is okay. I don't want you guys to be set up for the fail. Sometimes it does take putting in that extra work and doing both at the same time for you to transition. And I do like that you brought up, Anna, that you talked about the that you were, making good money hand over fist, but you were like, you just weren't having a good time at doing that. Did you find, well, I will say in my experience, I did find that all of that quote unquote extra money or that good money that I was making, when I did the math at the end of the year, everything extra that I made, I spent it trying to feel better from being miserable
Yes,
making the money.
yes, yes.
And so, uh,
Totally.
did you have that same type of experience? Like, what did it look like for you?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I would take as many vacations as possible because I just didn't want to be there. And I really dumped into like, self care. I would like, well, I can go get a massage more frequently or whatever. It wasn't changing anything that huge. I mean, you spend a lot of time at your job, and like you said, you can throw a lot of money or a lot of time of trying to get away from it, but you're still there a lot, and there's lights shining on this thing you loathe every time you're there. So yeah, I also, once I started wandering roots and I didn't quit yet, I was like, my like whole thing, my whole brand was like, you should pursue a life that you love. You only get one. And then I felt like a hypocrite. And I really like, one of my main values is being authentic. And so that just kind of like, again, felt like I was dying a slow death from the inside out, just kind of being eaten away at. And just a lot of mental health, like main problems for sure. A lot of anxiety, a lot of insomnia, just lying awake thinking about it, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. So, in that, I want you guys to take that nugget out of there that one, go ahead and do the math. Do the math, the financial math, but also I want you to do an inventory and do some life math. Look at the emotional toll, the mental toll, and the physical toll as well of what it's doing to your health just all around when we're taking a total wellness approach at looking at what is it doing for you and to you, to be, going to get it, grinding it out. You notice that we talked about some of the very same things that I suggest to you guys for self-care, for having adventure, having fun. What is the actual root of why you're doing these things? I love to travel, but are you traveling as an escape from your life? Are you traveling as an escape from, you get like a temporary mental emotional break from something that is like, yeah, no, this isn't just something different. It's not just an adventure. Like you literally are just taking a break from a place that you don't need to be, from people that you don't need to be around. And also keep an eye out for some of the self-care routines that you have set. Are you setting those things in place more and more frequently because you're trying to counteract a negative situation that you're in, that it will perhaps serve you better to make a transition or to do something that is better aligned with your overall vision, so that you aren't scheduling self-care as a mental escape from something that you absolutely loathe. Your self-care is to recharge you, refill you. But when we're too far past that midpoint, we're talking about getting some self care from neutral so that you can feel amazing, so that you can feel great. Not so that when the red light is on, when the tank get to E, you still got about 50 miles that, if we're talking about a big three vehicle. And even then, if it's too new, sometimes it's less than 50 miles. But if you have already reached E, and you're going beyond that, and you're using your self-care to fill it just the eighth of a tank past empty, that's not what we're going for. We're going for, we might be at half, a quarter tank left. Let's get in some self-care so that we can get back to full. It feel real good when you fill up your gas tank and it get a little bit past the full line. Just top it off a little bit. That's more so what we're going for. Not when we're just running on fumes, when we're doing things we just absolutely hate it. If you hate it, let's take some inventory and look at what we can do different, where we can transition, and look at where you can do something, or what you can do that is in better alignment with your vision. And then, speaking of vision and taking action, I know that you said that you resonated with one of our previous episodes, where we were talking about making sure that you write out your vision for the year. So, how do you help your retreat goers to go from just having, how do you help your clients to go from just having a vision for creating a retreat to actually making it happen? What do you walk them through when they're making that part of their vision come to life?
So we always start with their why. So no one that I know have ever worked with, myself included, is doing it to make money. There's a deeper passion than that. But I am a numbers nerd and I love a good spreadsheet. And we do spend a lot of time talking about the numbers because I find that the only way to make this sustainable and not an expensive hobby is to make a profit so that I have enough money to host the next one. Also, I really see a lot of burnout in just the wellness industry and mostly women just wanting to help people at the expense of themselves and their brands. And that honestly breaks my heart because they usually have something really, really transformative that could help heal the world that I want them to keep, offering. So anyways, we really just we talk so much about their itinerary and their why, and I usually make them take a lot of stuff out of their itinerary because they're throwing too much at it, and then I can get a really good sense of like the vibe and everything, how they want it to feel, how they want their guests to feel, how they want their content that they're super passionate about to be presented, like what type of space they would need for that. Sometimes it's a kitchen, sometimes it's a yoga shala, like whatever. It's almost like mentoring where I get to hear their story about why they started their brand and why they want to host a retreat. And then we get to bring this thing to life together. And it's a lot of fun. It's really beautiful. So mostly we start there, itinerary, why, and then we get to work on budget and finding a venue that will match what they want it to be.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, there you have it. And if you would like to get in touch with Anna, let the audience know, where can everyone find you?
Sure. If you want to go on a retreat, if you're more of a guest type of guest, listening, you can go to retreatsthatdon'tsuck.com. We're very sarcastic and have a lot of fun, but you can get a free travel guide and find out where we're going next. And then moneymakingretreats.com. You can book a consult if you want to talk about hosting your own retreat. And it's a 30-minute consult. We laugh a lot. We can figure out if we're a good match, and then we can get started.
Awesome. Awesome. So you guys got those websites. I'm going to put them in the show notes below so that you can reach out to Anna if you would like to participate in a retreat, or if you would like to set up your own retreat. And you never know who will show up and who you may see on one of those retreats. So, Anna, thank you so much for coming on with us today. And for all of you guys, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions for me or Anna, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If it's something a little bit more private, you guys know where to find me. Go ahead, shoot me a message, a DM, strictly kept confidential, because obviously that's the purpose of you private messaging me. So, I get that. So, you guys, we thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week for another Everybody Can't Go Convo.